in the state of Florida, without having a general contractor's license, a handyman can't even hang drywall.
Be Nice Individuals Podcast.
Hey folks, this is Thaddeus on the Be Nice Individuals Podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. I have a very special guest in studio today. Guys have seen him around. It's Luther Brown from Ace Handyman Services. Luther, how you doing today, brother?
Fabulous. How about you?
I'm doing good. And I keep talking about this with different people that come into the studio. There's a storm a-brewing, and I had no idea that it was coming. But I guess it's par for the course. I'm a Floridian now. I wasn't always a Floridian, but now that I am, it is what it is. But Ace Handyman. So when I first saw that, I'm like, that's interesting. How are they able to get away with using Ace Hardware's branding? And that's probably what some people think. So tell us about that.
So the company actually started out as Handyman Matters. It was started by a gentleman named Andy Bell over in Boulder, Colorado. He's seen the need for a handyman service, a professional service, licensed, bonded, insured, background check for all employees in the industry to go in to help homeowners with those small tasks that the larger contractors didn't want to come out to do because they didn't see good margins in it. So Andy started it, he ran it, grew it to a fabulous company, franchises all over the country. And in 2018, 2019, Ace Hardware purchased it. And they rebranded it to Ace Handyman Services. And now we're getting more into home service areas, as well as the handyman service where we go out, take care of all those small projects. And I mean, we do everything from changing light bulbs for elderly homeowners, even for younger homeowners who don't have the right equipment to get to the taller ceilings.
Sure.
So we take care of all those.
It's nice, though, too, and for the people that are watching, that you guys are part of Ace Hardware. So you have that national brand that's backing you guys. And that's super cool because, look, if you go right now to the tax office, and I was there not too long ago to actually start my own business, but when you go there, you just pay your money and you can possibly get that license, that business tax license. And that's your qualification, so to speak. I don't know, I might be wrong, but I believe that's the qualification to be a handyman, right? And to have a legitimate company that's a higher tier company than just an average handyman, that sets you guys apart, and I just love that.
It does in a major way. So in the state of Florida, without having a general contractor's license, a handyman can't even hang drywall.
Yeah.
They're very limited in terms of what they can do. So we at Ace Handyman Services, we carry a general contractor's license, which allows us and permits us to build up to a 3-story building.
Wow.
So we can actually build a home for you. We can build a commercial building for you, as well as all of the things underneath that, we handle a lot of mitigation work after mitigation companies go in and tear out from water losses, fire damage, and storm damage and things like that. And we put the project back together, whether it be a kitchen, a bathroom, or something just, drywall cut out in your living room or dining room.
Yeah. I think that's really important. And people out there, that's more of a PSA type of thing, a public service announcement, that not all handyman services are created equal. Maybe it's a good idea to ask, if you're looking for a handyman, do they have that general contractor's license? Because there's a lot of limitations on what they can and they cannot do. And I don't know if they have insurance, what that insurance is going to cover if they're acting outside of the scope. And this is not legal advice, but acting out of the scope at which they're actually licensed to do. That's very important. So Ace Handyman is a trusted source. They can freaking build a house. Look, that's cool. Because before I met you, so I just thought it was a handyman service. Before I met you, I had no idea about the handyman industry. But the Luther with Ace Handyman, it's a step above because they have that general contractor's license. What drew you really to Ace Handyman?
So my family and I, we vacationed in Florida quite often prior to moving here. We originally from Lansing, Michigan. And on the way home from vacation, spring break, nobody wanted to go home because we knew
no one ever does.
we knew what the weather was like back in Michigan. And, you know, my daughter, she was, Mommy, can we just send Dad back and have him pack up the house, sell it, and we just stay here?
Wait. They didn't even want to go back home to pack. They just said, you know what? We picked you as tribute. You go back and you pack up everything and you bring it back and we'll just stay here.
Right.
Is that kind of what's going on?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So my wife and I decided on the way home, we were talking, and the year prior, her mother had a double stroke. So we kind of put our future plans and what we were going to do on hold to find out what was going to happen with her.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were talking and she's like, well, you know, Mom's healthy. She could live another 20 years. Are we really going to put our lives on hold for that long?
Yeah.
So we decided that we were going to let God. And if it was meant to be, then God would sell the house, provide jobs and everything else. Plus we were looking for better school districts for our daughter and everything else. So we let God. Mm-hmm. We got home. We listed the house on ourselves. Put the house up for sale. We just stuck a sign in the yard for sale by owner. Listed it on Facebook Marketplace. Listed it above what my wife's realtor friend suggested.
Yeah.
It sold above asking price.
Whoa.
In 11 days.
Dude.
I applied. I started looking for jobs because I'm skilled trades.
Mm-hmm.
All the tools to do the job.
Yeah.
So I knew I wouldn't have a problem finding employment.
Sure.
So I jumped on Indeed and all the other employment sites,
mm-hmm.
and I found a handyman service looking for people here down here. So I applied. Owner called me. We had a discussion. She was like, I could really use you. You sound great. Let me know how things go. So we continued to talk. Mm-hmm. We went through closing. January 1st, we landed in St. Johns County.
Yeah.
And basically the rest is history. So I had always been doing not really handyman work mm-hmm. back in Michigan, but doing remodels, bathrooms, kitchens, doing roofs and things like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, coming down here and joining a handyman service, mm-hmm. I felt like, oh, okay, this is like semi-retirement. You know, I'm not going to have to pull my trailer full of tools and everything else. So I'm like, okay, this would be cool. So that's how I ended up being in the handyman service as opposed to full-scale construction.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And it is semi-retirement because, look, this is a retirement community. So just being here, you're already semi-retired.
There you go.
That's a cool story, though. It's very interesting. And we share a similar faith that God orchestrates certain things in your life and things just kind of fall into place, you know. And yours started as a desire, okay? You moved, you came here, you were vacationing here, right? And I'm sure it was probably like winter time is kind of sounding like that because they didn't want to go back and pack up. It sounded like it might have been cold out.
It was April.
Okay, it was April. Was it still cold? I don't know.
It's still cold in Michigan.
Okay, it's still cold in Michigan because they're right there near the water and everything too. So it's just always colder when you're near the water because of the moisture and stuff in the air. Anywho, so you guys come down here and you fall in love with it. And I believe that God gives us desires of our hearts when it's in alignment with his will and stuff. And things just started to fall into place, but you also have family members that was down here. Is that right?
My wife's cousin lives in South Jacksonville, just outside of the St. John's Duval County line.
Yeah.
And, you know, we came down and we had absolutely no place to go.
Yeah.
So, you know, all I had was a promise from a lady that was going to hire me for a job.
Yeah.
You know, no place to go, didn't look for any apartment or anything like that. They said, why don't you just put all your stuff in storage, stay with us. get your bearings, figure out what you want to do, find a place. So that's exactly what we did. We stayed with them for 2 weeks, started traveling around St. Johns County because we knew that's where we wanted to be based on the school districts.
Yeah.
So, we started traveling through and visiting restaurants and everything else and decided, this is where we wanted to be, was St. Johns County.
That's awesome. And that just that added factor of what you just talked about, having a family member to kind of put you guys up and let you guys get your bearings and really just get embedded kind of into this area. That's awesome.
Yes.
It's just, like I was saying, kind of the plans that God has for our lives and how it all just kind of works out, so to speak. And sometimes we are like, oh man, I don't have all these things figured out, and then it just works because that's exactly how it works in life, which I can't imagine it not working like that, just being a believer.
And on that note, it's kind of funny that you say it that way, because back in January this year, I was diagnosed with interstitial lung disease. So that's basically the hardening of the outer tissue of the lungs. And that's a result of a very rare autoimmune disease that I have, as well as all the environmental things that I was exposed to throughout my 30 plus years of construction, remodeling work.
Yeah.
So while I was in the hospital, I did a search for interstitial lung disease pulmonologist. And lo and behold, Mayo Clinic has an interstitial lung disease clinic.
Wow.
I had no clue that there was even a Mayo Clinic campus down here. So the let go, let God thing is, I kind of attribute that to, he knew what I was going to need 5 years down the road.
That's crazy.
And he put me where I needed to be.
That's amazing. You never know exactly in your experience. Like, so this is kind of how I see life. Okay, so life is a collection of experiences and things that happen, which will at some point in the future align up to have kind of like a perfect plan, so to speak.
Exactly.
And who would have known 5 years, 10 years ago that you would need to be in this area to have that person who would specifically deal with thing that you're working through right now, which is interstitial lung disease. Only God could have known.
Only God could have known.
Yeah.
It's his plan, and it just works out at his timing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I want to segue kind of back to the PSA announcement that we were talking about just a moment ago about how you guys are different from just the average handyman. So you said the average handyman, they can't like hang drywall even according to the license that we're talking about, just the standard license that they get through the city or the county or whatever for handyman services. So tell us specifically how you guys are set apart from that. Give some like, I don't know, a comparison, what you can do, what they can't do,
So the state of Florida has many different construction licenses that an individual or an entity can apply for.
Yeah.
If you only apply for a handyman license because you don't think that you need to be a general contractor, because all you want to do is the simple task in a home or business, that's going to limit you greatly.
Yeah.
Because the state of Florida states that without that general contractor's license, you are very limited on what you can do. You can change light bulbs. You can change locks on doors, and you're kind of limited to about those few things.
Sure.
I mean, there may be 5 to 10 things that an individual with that handyman license can do.
Yeah.
But with the general contractor's license, it opens it up to everything.
Sure.
Because Florida's wet, got a lot of storms, a lot of rain, so there's mold everywhere and everything else, and you got a lot of different remediation and mitigation companies that come in and do drywall cutouts and everything else, because you have water damage and whatnot. So they go out and do 2-foot flood cuts, and the drywall needs to be put back in. An individual with a handyman license cannot, by law, put that drywall back. Now, most people will think it's just drywall. Why can't just anybody do it?
Yeah.
Well, that's because the state says that you can't.
Right.
So on a lot of social media, people, I'm in search of a handyman or I'm in search of a licensed person to come in and take care of this for me.
Sure.
Everybody applies for it, post to it and everything else. But without having that general contractor's license, they're not even allowed to put that drywall back. Us having a general contractor's license, we can put that back. We can do baseboards. We can change interior and exterior doors. There's so many more things that we are allowed to do because of having that general contractor's license that the simple handyman company can't do, for instance.
And that's really important, folks. Not only do they have that license, because anyone can pop up and start a new business, so to speak. It's not as hard as it seems from the outside. Okay. So yeah, like maybe a year or two ago, I would have thought, man, it's hard to start a business. No, not really. Like, you just go apply for your tax stamp and all that stuff, and you're whatever you want to be, right? And of course, there are certain things that you might need in addition to that, but that's neither here nor there. But small businesses, they pop up every day and they go out of business every day. And people, those customers, are left high and dry. There's a term, and we're just kind of talking about water, but that's the truth. And so if somebody does a crappy job, and mind you, if they're doing a crappy job at one spot, guess what? They're doing a crappy job at a lot of spots. They're going to disappear. Yes. And what's your recourse? But Luther, with Ace Handyman, there's that. Now, there's a guarantee, too, and I want you to talk about it instead of me. But there's that national brand company that's backing them in their work. But talk about your guarantee, too.
So, Ace Handyman Services, we are licensed with a general contractor's license. We're bonded, which protects the homeowner or the business in case there's shoddy work done.
Sure.
And we are insured, fully insured to that. Our employees are covered and your property is covered. All of our employees are our employees. They're background checked for your safety, and they are highly experienced. Yeah. And we also have a 1-year warranty on our craftsmanship. So if we come in to take care of something and you see, a month, 2 months, 6 months, 11 months down the road that something paint's bubbling for whatever reason or what have you. Oh, I just noticed that it should have gotten another coat of paint or whatever. Yeah. We will come out and take care of that. Whereas a lot of companies, we like to call them chucking the trucks. Those are those simple guys that are, like you stated, went and got their tax ID and now they slapped a metal sticker on the side of their truck. Yeah. And, oh, I'm a handyman. Right. Well, you don't have any, like you said, recourse should something happen. Because like I like to say, as soon as that individual walks out of your house, he's changing his phone number. Yeah. And you won't be able to get a hold of him. And if you are able to get a hold of him, he's going to duck and dodge your calls. Sure. Us having that the Ace name being under that umbrella, there is a 1-800 number that you can call should something happen, and should you not get the satisfaction that you feel from calling our office, you can call that 1-800 number. They call us immediately and say, hey, what's going on with this situation? You need to get out there and make it right. Yeah. Super important. Now, I want you to throw out your contact information so people know how to get a hold of you so that they can have a licensed, bonded, insured, 1-year warranty, general contractor's license, so they can actually have a service like that take care of their project. Because truly, when they just find somebody online, they don't have that backing, they don't have that guarantee. So shout out your contact information so people know how to get in contact with you. Our name is Ace Handyman Services. I am Luther Brown, project manager for the St. Augustine, Southeast Jacksonville, and Palm Coast franchises. Our office number is 904-436-5977. Our street address is 701 Market Street, St. Augustine 3095. My email address is Brow. That is capital LBROW at acehandymanservices.com.
I just saw the email address as you were talking. I'm like, they should have gave him the N. Because that makes it a little bit more difficult. But that's fine. Brow at acehandymanservices.com. Look, folks. Oh, shoot. I was getting excited. But hey, look, folks, this is what I want you guys to do. When you're seeing all the different posts on Facebook about Handyman, I want you to take a moment, maybe look at the law, but take a moment to decide what's most important to you. Is it just getting that project done at the cheapest price because this guy has no insurance? He's not worried about workers' comp or anything like that. And then I want you to think about, what if something goes wrong? If everything goes right, yeah. But there's a lot of times stuff goes wrong. And when things go wrong, think about what you're going to have to do. Try and get recourse and all that stuff. Or shoddy work. And now maybe it's time for you to sell the house. And look, it was done wrong. And you know that the most expensive project, as I said, I've heard this quote many times, the most expensive project is the one you do twice.
Because you got to take apart what that first person did to do it correctly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So guys out there, I want you to reach out to Luther Brown with Ace Handyman Services. Get it done right the first time. Don't cheap out because it's just a random guy who says he's handy or whatever. Go with a company that has a national brand and has that recognition and that guarantee behind their work, because in the end, that is what is most important to your peace of mind. Again, this has been Thaddeus and Luther Brown on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. And I always tell you guys, this is a space where people can rent out time here. Say you're a business, you want to shout out your business, cool. Just like what we did just now. Maybe you're an individual and you want to talk about your ideas, fantastic. We have a space for you here. Or maybe you're a political candidate, you want to reach out directly and connect with your audience, your constituents. We can make all that possible. And say you want to go live and be completely transparent as a politician. If there's someone out there that wants to do that, we can do a live show and we can have call-ins where you can take questions on the air. No one's done it yet. I want that politician to do it because it will be great. This has been Thaddeus on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, and we'll see you next time.